In the U.S. in Washington, Kate Fischer. Kate, thank you for being with us. So this is the largest expulsion apparently in U.S. history. Are they packing up these Russian diplomats as we speak?
Absolutely. 60 in total. That's 48 from the embassy here in Washington, D.C. And then 12 what are described as intelligence officers from the UN in New York. All 60 of them have to leave the country within the next 7 days, a very short period of time as well. And I think people here and across the rest of the world are perhaps not surprised that there was some reaction to that alleged poisoning of a former Russian spy in the UK, but the fact that there was so many diplomats who have been targeted here in the US, 60, nobody was expecting such a large number, and I don't think anyone was expecting the Trump administration to take such a tough stance on Russia.
There is this incongruity. He's still being investigated for being too close to Russia. He still wants a relationship with the Russian president. Is this a strong statement, do you think? Is anyone speculating that he's being too tough? I don't know.
Yeah, it does seem confusing, doesn't it? Because on the one hand, he seems to want to have a closer relationship with Vladimir Putin. Just on the 18th of March, he had a phone call with the Russian president in which he congratulated him on his election victory. Congratulations that his own national security team had advised him not to do. They told him not to congratulate Putin, yet he went ahead and did so. And after that phone call, he suggested that there would be a meeting between the two leaders soon. Yet today we get this very strong response to Russia with this expulsion of 60 diplomats. And it's almost as though the White House, the administration, the US government is speaking with one voice, yet the president is speaking with another. And it makes it very difficult for foreign policy observers, other countries to know exactly what the US policy is and where they stand with them.
Why specifically Seattle closing the Russian consulate there?
In Seattle, yes, they are closing the Russian consulate in Seattle. This is part of this expulsion of the diplomats. The reasoning behind this, we're told, is because of its proximity to a US naval base and also to the Boeing plant, the aerospace company. There are concerns that Russian spies have been trying to infiltrate both of these areas, and they want to make sure there are no Russian personnel within the vicinity, and that is why they've closed that Seattle consulate. And in fact, in response to that, we've had the Russian embassy here in Washington on their Twitter account has tweeted, the US is closing our embassy in Seattle, so we would like to ask you which US embassy in Russia you would like us to shut. And they have given their Twitter followers options to vote on which US consulate should be shut in Russia.
Wow, that's an interesting social media response. What further response expected from Russia?
Well, they have promised to respond. That's certainly. They have said they are looking at what has happened and they will be responding very shortly to it. I think nobody has any doubt that there won't be a reciprocal response, because Russia always kind of operates in a tit-for-tat exchange in these matters. So we are expecting that foreign diplomats in Russia will probably be also expelled in response to this, because it's not just America, of course. Diplomats from 14 European Union countries, Russian diplomats working in 14 different European Union countries have also been expelled today. This is a coordinated response with the United States, the UK and the EU. So it's likely that Russia is now considering exactly how to respond, but I'm sure they will respond.
Is this unusual for you, Kate, this united front, several countries, like you said, in Europe, Canada also taking action, the U.S. taking very strong action, is for this, for a change, maybe the West standing together, saying we will not tolerate this, Russians coming to the West using nerve gas on their own people?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it has been, it is very, we should mark the fact that it is a hugely coordinated response, and this is pretty unusual. The last time, certainly the US and the UK combined a response was when Russia annexed Crimea. But even then, the response was fairly piecemeal after that. This is certainly the largest coordinated response since the Cold War, really. And I'm sure that Theresa May, the British Prime Minister, is relieved that her allies are standing by her and that the NATO allies are all standing together in response to this. That she may have been concerned that although they said they would they actually go forward with it? And we understand that the reason that this response, this international response, is a few weeks after this poisoning attack in the UK is because all those countries were working behind the scenes to decide how they would respond and how to do it in a coordinated manner, and that is why it hasn't happened until today.
All right, thank you very much, U.S. correspondent Kate Fischer. So the U.S. has beef with China over trade and Russia over nerve attacks. We'll await the full Russian response.